Salvete. Today we are going to be translating the story of Samson cum Maxilla Asini, which is the story of Samson with the jawbone of a donkey. Alright, so we're going to dive in. We'll write the sentence up on the board and then we'll translate it together. And this week we're going to especially pay attention to adverbs, okay? And we're going to draw an arrow from each adverb to the verb that it is describing. Alright, here we go. Iam Samson in spelunca habitat. So for the first sentence, this is one of our special words, now. Now Samson, habitat, he is living in a spelunca, a cave. So now Samson is living in a cave. Eke Philistim in Teram Israel ascendant. So here we have another special word. Look or behold. So we're trying to figure out why he's living in a cave. Behold, Philistim, the Philistines, they are what? Ascendant. So here's the verb. Ascendant, remember, means to walk up to. So the Philistines, they are coming up to or walking up to in Teram Israel. So remember, in can mean in or on or into or onto. So in this case, it means into the land, Teram, of Israel. So behold, the Philistines, they are marching up into the land of Israel. Viri Philistim ad Israel dicant. Date nobis Samson. So the Philistines are marching up into Israel, and viri, the men, this would be our subject. The men, the Philistine men, so this now is an adjective. The Philistine men, they dicant. This is from dicit, so they say, and notice this has the third person plural ending on it. So here's our verb. So the Philistine men, they say, ad Israel. To Israel. Remember, add plus accusative means to. So the Philistine men, they say to Israel, and here's our quotation marks that show us what they say. They say, date nobis Samson. So remember, date is from dot, he gives, and it's got the imperative form on it. So it's imperative, they're commanding, they're saying, give to us. So this is nobis, to us, Samson. So the Philistine men, they say to Israel, give to us Samson. I believe nobis would be on your special word list. Yep, there it is. So nobis, to us. You can look at that. All right, so they say, give Samson to us, and let's find out what Israel does about that. Ergo tria milia viri Israel ad speluncam Samson venient. So therefore, tria milia, so this is from tres tria, 3,000. So this is a slightly different form of the word thousand, from millium for thousand. We learned thousand as mille. This is a slightly different form of it. So therefore, 3,000 of the men of Israel. So this is the genitive. So of the men from viri. So of the men of Israel to the cave, ad speluncam. So this, again, ad plus accusative. Here it's a little more clear that it's in the accusative case. Remember, because I, ad speluncam, Samson venient. So, to the cave of Samson they come. So, 3,000 men of Israel, the Philistines come and say, hey, give us Samson. So, 3,000 men go to get Samson. Viri Israelitai Samson funibus vinciant et eam ad Philistim ducant. So, viri Israelitai, the men of Israel, they do what? They vinciant. So remember, this is from vincit. They tie. So they tie Samson funibus, with a rope. So this is in the ablative case. And remember, ablative uses by or with. So the men of Israel, they tie Samson with a rope. Et means end, and eum, him, ad Philistim ducent. To the Philistines they lead. So this is from ducet. So they tie Samson with a rope and they lead him to the Philistines. Eke Philistim clamant et Samson occurrent. So here's our special word again. Eke, behold, the Philistines, they do what? They clamant et occurrent. They shout and they rush upon, who do they rush upon? Samson. So Samson would be our direct object. Here's our verbs. Verb, verb, and here's our subject. So the Philistines, they shout and they rush upon Samson. Said Samson funes facile rumpit et Samson maxillum Asini sumit. This is the next two boxes in one. Okay, here's one of our special words. Said, but Samson, he what? He rumpit. He explodes. What does he explode? So Samson, our subject, rumpit, our verb. Where's our direct object? Funes. He explodes the ropes. And here's our first adverb. How does he explode the ropes? Facile, easily. So we'll circle that adverb. Let's see, we'll write ADV and we'll draw an arrow to our verb. So Samson, he explodes the ropes easily. Et, and, Samson maxillum Asini sumit. So here's our subject again. Samson, he sumit, he picks up. What does he pick up? Maxillum Asini, the jawbone of a donkey. Notice that this is genitive again. So here is accusative case, ending. So this is our direct object, and this is genitive case, so jawbone of the donkey. This is showing possessive because the donkey had the jawbone until Samson picked it up. And so that's why those are in the accusative and the genitive case. Okay, so Samson explodes the ropes easily, he grabs the jawbone of a donkey, and I'll bet you can guess what he's going to do next. Et Samson mille viros Philistinorum maxilla irate occidit. And Samson, okay, here's our subject. Samson does what? He occidit. Here's our verb. He kills. Who does he kill? Mille viros, 1,000 men. So here's our direct object. 1,000 men of the Philistines. Here we have another genitive ending. So Samson, he kills 1,000 men of the Philistines. How? With a jawbone. So this is ablative again. So we have an ablative ending meaning with. So I'll just write with or by. Ablative, okay? So Samson, he kills 1,000 men of the Philistines with a jawbone, but wait, there's more. We have another adverb here. How does he do it? He does it irate, madly or angrily, okay? So he angrily kills 1,000 men of the Philistines with a jawbone. Dinda Samson dicit. So then Samson, he says, and here's our quotation mark showing what he says. Maxilla Asini destrui eas, maxilla Asini percussi mille viras. So here he says, so this is in ablative again, with the jawbone of a donkey, I destroyed them. So, well, I'll come back to that. Maxilla Asini, with the jawbone of a donkey, percussi mille viros. I beat 1,000 men. So with the jawbone of a donkey, I destroyed them. So destrui and percussi are past tense verbs. We haven't learned how to make those yet, and so those are on your special word list. So he's saying, with the jawbone of a donkey, I destroyed them. With the jawbone of a donkey, I beat, I percutted 1,000 men. So he's boasting. He's saying, I grabbed the jawbone and I just hammered on them like a drum, and I beat those 1,000 men. Dinda Samson valde sitit et ad Deum clamat. So then Samson, he was very thirsty, and ad Deum, to God, he shouted. So let's just real quick, subject, we got verb, he was thirsty, and to God, here's our direct object, he shouted. So we have two verbs here. Samson, he was very thirsty, and to God, he shouted. Et fons de maxilla fluit, et Samson aquam laete bibit. So, and a fountain, so here's our subject, a fountain did what? It fluit, it flows. A fountain flows, now here's a strange one, de maxilla, from the jawbone. So remember, de means down from. So a fountain flows from the jawbone, and Samson aquam laete bibit. Samson, so here's our subject again. Samson, he bibits, he drinks the water. So here's our direct object in the accusative case. And another adverb, how does he drink it? Laete. This is from laetus. He drinks it happily. So here's our adverb. He's very thirsty, so he drinks it happily from the jawbone. Now, I didn't remember this in the story, so I looked it up, and it said God split open, this is from the Bible, God split open the hollow place that is at Lehi, and water came out from it. So I'm not exactly sure why the way this story is written in your textbook says that it flowed out of the jawbone. Maybe he used the jawbone like Moses struck the rock with his staff. Maybe he used the jawbone to strike the place. It doesn't appear to say that in the story, but maybe there's an interpretation of it that I'm not aware of. So, for your story, it says the fountain flows from the jawbone, and Samson happily drinks the water. Either way, God did break open miraculously a place for him to drink from, because he was very thirsty after slaying 1,000 men with a jawbone, as I assume I would probably also be. All right, there's your story for this week. That is our last story for the year. So I look forward to seeing you all in class and talking about the story and reviewing. And I hope you enjoy reviewing the story in your books this week. All right, valete.